flawed male characters versus flawed female characters, how are they different?
I think that male characters are the only thing I can speak about with great accuracy. I don't think there's a sex-based distinction between the two. I think, however, I believe women are generally more physically afraid of the world, and if you're going to write a great female character, you need to understand that women walk around scared a lot of the time. Most men don't understand that. If you want to write a great character that's not your sex, you've got to somehow learn about that sex. Just as I think a lot of women writers don't write great male characters, because we are very different. So the best writers on television, Matt Weiner writes great female characters. He obviously understands who they are. And then you have another side of it. There are some writers, I'm not going to name them, who write fantastic shows about the Old West or whatever, and their male characters are extremely well realized, but the women are basically, they're either whores or they're vehicles for what they say. I think most writers can do one or the other really well. I think Matt Weiner does them both really well. It's a question of understanding the other sex. And most writers have difficulty empathizing with people that aren't like themselves. And again, this is why core wounds matter, because you cannot, as a writer, if you don't empathize and really understand the character you're writing about, you're going to write a cliche. And I think that some writers simply specialize in either female or male. And I love that the female characters that Weiner shows us have a depth and a vulnerability that I don't think even a great writer, okay, I'm going to say it. I mean, I think David Milch is a fabulous writer. Huh? I think he's a genius, a Shakespearean genius. But I think his male characters have a sort of a depth and a believability that I don't know that he always brings to women. It doesn't really matter because his worlds are so great. And then you pick the world that you're going to be able to render. The Old West is a man's world. Okay, so that's a good place for him to be. Matt Weiner's world, the early 60s, is a man's world with women coming into it. So that's a good world for him to be in.
Right. How do we know if we've written a cliche?
People will not be interested in the character, and they will write you a note like, he's not sympathetic. Whenever you get a note like, he's not sympathetic, what it really means is he's not believable. Why are we sympathetic to a character? Because we understand him. That's why confession's important. But having sympathy for a character, we can sympathize with a complete a-hole, but it has to be believable, right? So when somebody gives you a note, character's not sympathetic, don't understand, what they're really saying is they're boring. Again, figure out why they're acting the way they do and look at why they're damaged. Give yourself 5 ways a character is compensating for their wound. That's always a way to make them believable, to make them deep.